your lips, huh? Wait, what is this?
Babe, you were supposed to get a sweater.
You got truck parts?
That's supposed to be a sweater.
I can't stand you.
Well, it's the stuff that I need.
What a coincidence is this what you need?
So to get started with draining the fluid from the transmission, I went ahead and removed the stock pan, which can be a little bit messy, but honestly guys, as long as you take your time, you can minimize that mess and you won't have so much to clean up. I'm going to be replacing this because it leaks. Leaks quite a bit actually. I had previously tried to kind of straighten this out, straighten these edges out, but what can happen with these is these bolt hole locations can become high spots, which of course would give you an uneven sealing surface, causing it to leak. I can tell that this one's still high, this especially back here, and then kind of low here. So I figured it'd be best to just replace it. At this point, pretty sure it's the original one that came on the truck, but I'm gonna be replacing it with this one, which is from TCI Transmissions. It's quite a bit deeper, so it should give you some more capacity. And most important for me, it's got this drain plug. So you avoid the mess in the future, and then if you guys are like me and like to work on your truck or do the oil changes and services yourself, this will make it a lot more convenient. It does also come with this gasket, which I've actually glued on here with just a very, very light skim coat of ultra gray gasket maker, just so it won't move. So put that on there, put it up on the transmission, tightened it up a little bit just to get it to set in place. But this is ready to go back on. I also removed the inspection cover because I'm going to be doing a full flush, so we'll drain the converter as well, the torque converter. And then since I have the pan off, and I hopefully don't plan on taking it off for a while, I'm just going to be replacing the filter and gasket. So for starters, we'll get this on, we'll get the pan on, and then we'll drain the converter. So the filter on the C6 transmission is just this piece here, which is attached to the valve body. So definitely pretty simple. I've already loosened some of these up. So once you get all these loosened, you'll remove it. Now there are two bolts back here that are actually pass-throughs, so they'll pass through the filter and then the valve body, so they're used to secure the complete valve body up to the bottom of the transmission. So those are actually a 3/8. So we'll break those loose. So if you guys remember, I mentioned that this can be a little bit messy. Well, I have done one of these before, but it looks like I forgot that there is still a little bit of ATF back here. So it is currently just pouring on the ground. So I'll be cleaning that up. At this point, I'm just gonna let it leak and make a mess because, well, I'm gonna have to clean it up anyway. So now that I made a mess, we'll get the replacement filter up in place. And there's pretty much only one way you can get this on there. So what I'm gonna do, just to make sure that the gasket stays in place, is kind of go one by one and loosely start to secure them. to make sure I don't pinch it in the weird spot or have it sit a little weird. So we're just going to work our way all the way around. And once you get a few in kind of opposite from each other, it should kind of stay in place. One thing that I did forget to mention that I'm not sure would be specific to all C6 transmissions, but this being a 74 model year, this bolt here for the transmission filter was a lot longer than the rest of them. So just make sure you're keeping track of where each individual one goes so that you don't have any issues when putting everything back together. But we're now getting ready to put the pan back on. So same thing with the pan bolts. When I removed them, I kind of placed them in order so that there weren't any issues with the reassembly. So we'll put a few in. Alright guys, so as for the installation on the new TCI transmission pan, or whether you guys are just reusing your stock pan, like you guys saw, I was able to start all the bolts up by hand. It should be very simple to do that. You shouldn't have any issues. If you do, I would probably just recommend cleaning the bolts and the threads on the transmission just to make sure you don't cross thread any of the holes. When you lightly get them started, it'll give you some adjustment with the pan just to make sure that you're able to get them all in place and kind of shift it around if you need to. So now that I got everything started, I can torque these all down, and I believe the actual torque spec that you need for these is 25 foot-pounds. I don't have a torque wrench, so I'm just going to tighten them up little by little, trying to go evenly as best I can. And then once we put the fluid back in, if it leaks anywhere, I'll probably just tighten it down a little bit more, and we'll go from there. So the last step to complete the transmission flush is going to be to drain the torque converter. I apologize, it's a little difficult to see. The exhaust is kind of in the way, but the torque converter drain bolt is right here. So you're going to need a 7/16 socket. Once you remove your inspection cover, you should be able to see it. If you can't, just kind of lightly crank the engine over so it'll spin. Of course, you don't want to completely start the truck, but get the drain to point down here as best as possible. And then of course you're going to want a pan to catch all the fluid, but let's just break it loose for starters. So there it is, coming loose. So I don't know about you guys, but I am not a fan of the time change. It gets darker a lot earlier. Go to work in the morning, get home and it's dark. Feels like the whole day's gone by. But luckily I have my garage. I have decent lighting in the garage, so I'm still able to do a few things here or there on the truck. But we got everything buttoned back up. The torque converter was completely drained and we got the bolt back on. I didn't put the inspection cover on yet, just to make sure that I don't have any leaks. So it's time to fill the transmission back up. This C6 takes type F fluid. It'll tell you guys on your dipstick, so just make sure you're paying attention to the fluid that you need. I just picked up the cheap stuff at Napa, I guess you can say. ATF is a little bit expensive. This one was on sale, $3.48 a quart. And this transmission takes about 12.5 quarts when you do a full flush. So, all right guys, so I put about 6 quarts of ATF in the transmission, turned the truck on for about a minute, that way the pump could engage and start filling the converter. Turned it back off, put about another 6.5 quarts, so there's a total of 12.5 quarts in the transmission currently. When you're doing a full flush, the transmission takes about 12.5 quarts. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. Tomorrow morning, I'm gonna turn the truck on, let the truck get up to operating temperature and check the fluid level and add any more if I need to. Really, really important, guys, that you check your transmission fluid level when the truck is warm and up to operating temperature. That's very important. That'll give you the most accurate reading for the fluid level. So at this point, guys, this wraps up a full flush on your C6 transmission. I hope this helped. Just like with any of my other videos, my intention is to help you guys if you're looking to do maintenance, things like this, or whether it's replacing bushings, carburetor rebuild, or anything else that you can do on these old Ford trucks. So I hope you guys please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching.